Hey everybody, Tim and Doug today. Today we're talking about social media because we both work at One for All Social. I'm one of the founders and the CTO. Doug puts up with my crap every day, and does our operations, runs the operations training, and makes sure that people give me CPR when I'm having a heart attack, um, figuratively speaking. But we get a lot of questions about the algorithms, the social feeds, the how do I improve my follower rate? How do I do different things? And in some cases, people are looking in the wrong spot. So for instance, I get these questions all the time about how do I get more followers? How do I get more followers? Nobody ever asks, how do I increase my engagement? So what do I mean by that? If you have a million followers and a 0.01% engagement rate, I would rather have 200,000 followers and a 1% engagement rate because your engagement rate is 100 times bigger than the guy who has more followers. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Doug?
people don't realize that engagement is key here as king. I mean, believe it or not, even in this day and age, I have a old story I won't talk too long about, but I was with another group prior to One for All, and one guy was so obsessed with followers, he even went out and found a team that would, oh, we'll bring you 100,000 followers in 5 days. He said, that's what I want. And he spent an exorbitant amount of money on it for no reason. And he got his 10,000 followers or 100,000 followers. And guess what? No business because no engagement. And the followers were about 90% fake accounts.
Exactly. I mean, I'm up over 12,000 on Twitter, and I get people asking me every day, it's like, well, I dropped 6 Twitter followers. I dropped 8 Twitter. That's because they're cleaning out bots.
Yep.
And when the bots go away, and occasionally somebody's going to unfollow you, occasionally account's going to get suspended. And if you follow it day by day, you're probably going to give yourself a stroke because it's week by week, I understand, month over month, I understand, but daily, it's you're just going to kind of give yourself a stroke. And it does not just Twitter. I mean, YouTube, Facebook, anywhere. If you try to follow it day by day, you're just going to be wrong. You're gonna hurt yourself. But engagement is what matters because you can have a small account with a high engagement and you'll have far more impact than a large account with really low engagement. So those sorts of things truly, truly, truly matter, and that engagement is what really is important. And everybody's analytics, including ours, will help you figure out what your rough engagement rate is. And you can use the platform ones, you can use us, you can use any of the free ones. But the industry average for YouTube is around 2%, right? So if you have 100 people watch your video, maybe two will click like, click a link, or look at something else. If you look at TikTok, they do a little bit better. Their engagement rate is 2.65. Now, those two platforms have an advantage, have a difference over everybody else. They're video based, right? So people are on your post longer than they are on other platforms most often.
As a
Um,
median, people are going to watch videos more than other types of content. Sure.
yeah, so they have more time to click like, subscribe, whatever it is you want them to do, or a link, than you do on some of the other platforms where they're scrolling past. So Instagram, the current engagement rate 2024, this is according to Social Insider. This is not us doing the math. This is a third-party group that does this sort of stuff. The current 2024 average engagement rate on Instagram is 0.7%.
Wow.
0.7, so less than 1%. So if you're doing better than 1%, you're doing better than the system-wide average. You're doing better than some of those influencers out there who have 1.5 million followers, because they're all about that top line number, not the number that matters. So which one's going to have a bigger impact? Somebody who looks at your post and goes, oh, who cares? Or somebody who looks at your post and interacts with it. That's the part that matters, is that interaction. Follower count doesn't matter. The follower count matters, but you want follower count and a high engagement rate. You want both of those things to be true. Facebook, you want to take a guess, Doug? It didn't get better this year.
Ooh. 0.5.
0.15.
Wow.
Facebook has, by some people, been called sort of a dumpster fire lately. And personally, I don't know what's driving that. I have a Facebook account. I use a Facebook account. We're on it. We interact with it. My experience with it is a little bit different than others, and we're going to get to how to curate your social media experience here in a minute. Bless you.
Thank you.
Twitter hasn't gotten better, hadn't gotten worse in recent years. Its current engagement rate is 0.05. So it's less than 1/10 of a percent. It's 500ths of a percent. So it's tiny. So anybody who has a decent engagement rate, is doing, much better. So like my personal engagement rate with 12,000 something followers is 5.6%. But I use the right tools, I use the right posts, and hopefully the audience appreciates that. And the other thing I can't stress enough is if you're trying to grow an account, don't just go in and go, well, I'm going to post this, I'm going to post that. Do some research. Look at other accounts who are in your field, whether that's gaming, whether that's books, whether that's salt and pepper shakers, piano. Doug's wife teaches piano. Whether that's people who talk about music. Go and look at other accounts that have been successful. See what they post, and that is going to give you some idea of where your content needs to be to grow. Research matters. So let's talk about the algorithm. Now we kind of got all that out of the way. The algorithm is what's driving whether or not you're being seen, right? I mean, every platform has one, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, it doesn't matter. They've all got one, and they're all deciding for us what we want to see. So what does that algorithm do? And I hear these terms all the time: shadow banned, it's against me, the algorithm doesn't like me. The algorithm doesn't know who you are. Okay, it just doesn't. There are occasions in the past where there have been companies who have decided to go in and target specific accounts. I don't know that that's still going on, but I can tell you that for 99.99999% of the people, the algorithm doesn't know who you are. There are some political cases where that's been true. There's probably some very large accounts where that's been true, but for most cases, the algorithm doesn't know and doesn't care. Um, Now, what does the algorithm want to do? The algorithm's whole purpose in life is to keep you on that platform as long as possible. They make their money by you being on their system, whether that's YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It has one driving force for you to stay there because they're not getting paid by you. They're getting paid by advertisers who are renting space for your eyeballs. Does that make sense, Doug?
Yeah, I mean, and people can dream up all these conspiracy theories and whatnot about it, but at the end of the day, they're all motivated by financial gain. And that's exactly right. By keeping your eyes on the screen and on their platform, they get to insert ad A, ad B, ad C, which is their direct revenue, period. You know what I mean?
So
There's
they
other
have
streams, but that is the main direct revenue of every algorithm. Let's not beat around the bush here.
Right. So they have built ways for you to stay on longer. So it's going to prioritize a couple of things. It's going to prioritize topics that are popular now, topics that you have interacted with in the past, and it's going to look at things that are recent, not years old. So, like even in my case, where I've written some books, I post about my books often because I've seen other authors do this. Well, I posted about it a couple of times. Well, yeah, 3 years ago, right? And oh, people can find that post. I'm like, yeah, but they're not gonna because the timeline is not going to show it to them, right? You have to kind of constantly say things. And if you're using it for any kind of marketing, you have to stay both current and kind of nobody ever buys anything when they see it the first time unless it's a well-known something.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, pick it. Stephen King has a new book out. Well, he might only have to mention it once, right? Everybody else has to mention it a bunch.
Everybody knows Coca-Cola, no problem. But all these new
Coca-Cola, right?
waters, energy drinks, etc., they've got to really get their brand out there multiple times. It's marketing 101, right? It's
Marketing 101. Current events. If you can tie what you want to talk to a current event, that actually works as well because people are looking at current events. That's just the way it works. But all of them build a profile for you based on your previous actions on what posts you've liked, what posts you've engaged with. So if you look at your platform, or if you look at your timeline and say, oh my gosh, there's nothing on here I care about, the only person that is driving that is kind of you because it's based on what you've engaged with. So I hear this all the time. It's like, oh, it's a dumpster fire. Well, it's because you've either rage engaged with something in the past, or it's because if you're getting a better experience out of it, it's because you have interacted with very positive things. So there's also all of them, and this is just Twitter for sake of argument here. So there's this little three dots over here on the side and every platform does a little bit different, but this is Twitter's version. You could go in here and say, I'm not interested in this post. Okay. And it'll ask you, you know, share fewer posts from that, or this post isn't relevant. Okay. Well, you can tell it that. And what it'll do is it'll take that information and start to curate your timeline. So if you start to see a bunch of political stuff show up, you can say, I don't know, I'm not interested in that. And it'll fix that for you. in an election year, that's going to be impossible to avoid politics. It's going to show up everywhere, but it at least helps somewhat. It certainly has helped mine kind of become a much more positive experience than not. The next thing that really matters is your location. So they know where you are. They know if you're in Texas, in the United States, the UK, Ireland, and they're going to be basing a lot of what you see on what people around you are seeing. So, like here in Frisco, Texas, we got the headquarters to the Dallas Cowboys, and it's going to preferentially show me a lot of stuff with football, just because I live in Texas. Um, that's just part of life, and I'm a football fan, so I don't mind so much. But now, how do you get your post seen, right? So that's what everybody wants to know is how do I get my post seen? One is Twitter will prioritize, or Twitter, any of them really, will prioritize what post gets shown based on how popular it is. Do I look at it? Do I look at it for a second? Do I look at it for 5 seconds? Do I interact with it in some way? That's why video is becoming sort of king everywhere, because all the platforms are starting to look at not just, hey, did somebody look at it, but how long did someone look at it? And if I post something on Facebook, Twitter, wherever, and it's got just some words in it, nobody's going to interact with it very long. But if it's got a 30-second video in it, I get more user seconds. I now am upgraded in the eyes of that platform, and people will look at people will get the chance to see my posts more often. Video matters. Get used to that. It's not going to change. That's not going away. For a long time, it was text was fine. Then it was images were fine. Video matters. Video quality matters. And what I mean by quality is resolution. If you got a pixelated pile of junk, the system's going to know it's pixelated. They're probably not going to want to show it to anybody. You'll
Right.
actually get warning on some platforms about that. Like, are you sure you want to post this? Right. So, rich and nice, engaging media. Um, Stay active on these platforms. If you let your account go inactive for a period of time, it's going to start to downgrade you. It's not going to like people who do this helicopter in, post once every 6 months and jump back out. It's not going to give you any timeline placement for that. I hate to say this, but get verified. If you're not verified on these platforms, you can do it now for a small monthly fee. If you want your account to grow, it's one of the ways to do it. I hate to use the word pay for play, but it's kind of getting close to that. Um, Now, a lot of systems, a lot of people will tell you tweet at the right time or on the right day. And this is one thing that our system does better than anybody's on the market. And I know I'm the CTO, so I'm partial, but I'm going to explain this just for anybody who really wants to know why I'm allowed to be that arrogant every once in a while. It's not arrogance, it's just, is what it is. So the most companies that are in a similar space to what Doug and I do for a living will tell you, oh, Mondays are your best day, Tuesdays are the best day because it's the most active time on whatever platform it is.
Right.
Well,
And do it at 10 o'clock or 4 o'clock or something like that.
yeah, and time is a little less relevant than it used to be. Our platform, this is the analytics section of our platform, will give you this insight section that tells you how many times a day you should post, the best type of post, and I'm looking at YouTube, so obviously it's a video, and the best day. Okay. And it'll tell you why. So it's gonna look at your posts, not some goofy average across the system. It's looking at your performance and similar accounts performance to tell you what to do. Um, and that's going to again help you get better timeline placement. And this is something else I absolutely positively cannot stress enough. And people laugh at it, but our chairman of the board even tried it, and he got a factor of 30, I think it was, better performance on one post. It might have been 50. I'm going to conservatively say 30 um, on one post because he didn't believe us just how much different it was. But the use of the proper tags. A lot of people say, oh, it doesn't matter. It damn sure does. So let's go in here and create a post. And what do I mean by a tag? Um, if you go in and want to create a post on your platform, you can do it in any of different ways. You can go straight to the platform. You can do it there. You can do it inside a third-party system like ours. You can, my browser has frozen up, so I'm going to have to stop that for a second. I have way too many things open at once.
But not more than me.
Yeah, well, it happens, right? But let me,
Something you want me to pull on O4A, or you? Okay, there we go.
yeah, it's coming up. Let me get a picture. Um, yeah, you want to open it up and show the hashtag tool?
Sure.
Mine's still going a little bit slow. It's my system. It's not, it's my computer, not the system. It just, something's going on.
Get ready.
The other way to look at these things is, I'm sorry, the right tagging. So
We get into the right account.
getting the right tagging done truly matters. And that's done through the proper use of hashtags. And overwhelmingly, when you're on these different systems and you start to type a hashtag, it'll give you some suggestions, but it may not be, using suggestions that are most beneficial for you. For what our system does is it uses a proprietary predictive analytic to go in and read your posts and look at what hashtags would be best for you based on your post. And it's not looking at how many people are using that hashtag, which is what a lot of people do. What it's doing is looking at how many people are viewing that hashtag and predicting how much better that's going to be over the next couple of hours. Hey, Doug, is my audio breaking up or is it still smooth?
No, I hear you fine. I hear you okay.
Okay.
So I just
All right.
typed some basic things in there, and here are the auto-generated hashtags that Tim was talking about, and the logic behind how ours works, which is different than every other platform. You can just simply click and add them right to your post right there. What I like to do when I'm creating posts is actually take the idea, get some additional ideas and posts generated using Write For Me, and then use the hashtag. So here I can pick, what type of post I'm looking to write, general idea of it, and a voice, or what type of content. So let's say I want to be urgent and compelling, right? And then the system gives me 3 options.
And that's ChatGPT 4.0 for anybody who's curious. Or you can write your own, it doesn't care.
Yeah, this is just for people like me that need a little inspiration. So then we get all these different options here. I'm just going to add one to post. I always recommend to users go in here, read this, chop it up a little bit. See, don't just come right off just copyright whatever Chat GPT gives you. But
Oh,
then
editing is absolutely key, right? Because if you don't edit it, it's going to sound like a computer wrote it. If you want to use it as sort of a, hey, here's some thoughts and kind of put it in your own voice, that's what I recommend people do with it. And it's great. Like I asked it one day, to write me a post about Cabernet Sauvignon wine, and it did. I asked it to compare Cabernet and Bordeaux, and it actually did that too, and it was clearly a Bordeaux victory. Okay, maybe I wanted it to be a Bordeaux victory, but
but there you go. You see how fast I got that with just some general idea about what I wanted to write about. Did some editing, use the auto hashtag tool. Now I just need to add my media, which, as Tim said, video's best. You can, still use images and whatnot, but you want to have some additional content to get that user engaged and stuck on your post. And then you can post it or even schedule it.
Now our system does something that I think I would suggest anybody, even if you post direct to the platform. Remember, way back in the early part of this video, we said the system's job, the algorithm's job is to keep you on the platform. It's going to look for you putting links inside your post that take you out of the platform. Put it in the first comment. So what our system will do is allow you to load that first comment. So it won't count against you if you put the hashtag right or put the link right there.
Yeah, if you
whereas
put
it
this
would
in
if you put it in the
post,
main post.
yeah, you'll get downgraded.
Absolutely will get downgraded. So we just wanted to put this out for, hey, look, here's some helpful hints and suggestions. Your social media feed, I can't stress this enough, people ask me all the time, is driven by your behavior. It's not driven by somebody trying to socially engineer. It's amplifying what you have done before. It might be in some cases on some platforms, it's amplifying what people in your specific demographic have done before. It's averaging a bunch of you together, but it's looking for accounts who have similar behavior. I'm not saying demographic like, oh, 40, 52 and male and white and from Frisco. It's saying, hey, 50-year-old male who happens to interact with a bunch of people who write books, right? So it views demographic a little differently than the rest of the world does. So it's either basing it, and it bases it more heavily on your specific interactions, but it will take into account other people who are sort of like you. So when you look at your social media feed, remember the primary driver behind it is your behavior. If you're in there getting angry and fighting with people, it's going to show you people angry and fighting with people. If you're in there talking about puppies, it's going to find you people who are talking about puppies. I happen to like both. I don't really like fighting with people. In fact, I pretty much avoid it. I was on a live stream last night and somebody tried to switch it to politics, and I'm like, I have no desire to discuss politics. You guys have fun with that. The only thing I will tell you is that when I lived in New England, I was considered a right-wing nut job, and here in Texas, I'm a left-wing lunatic. So my views haven't changed, but apparently I get categorized in a bizarre little thing called common sense. But anyway, so that's what we wanted to talk about today was sort of, here's some tools, use those tools. If not, at least take these tips and allow those tips to enhance your social media experience because it can be a very positive one. And if you write books like I do, I'm an independent author. Most independent books sell a grand total of like 50 copies, and that's to family and friends. Social media is my only marketing tool. That's it. I don't spend money on marketing. I only go on the socials. I have 22,000 paid copies sold to date and 4.5 million pages read on Kindle Unlimited. It does work. Social media marketing can be your friend. Oh, one thing I completely forgot. Doug and I were talking to one of our clients the other day. I won't mention who. But if you're only going to post high level 80,000 foot statements, nobody cares. Social media is a time when you want to get down in those weeds.
Yes, yes.
You want to talk about that one, Doug? I'll let you because
Yeah, so we were talking with, and I will go so far to say that they're nonprofit, so it's an even tougher market for them to reach folks, right? Because what's their goal? They're looking to drive funds, or they're looking to raise money for their cause, whatever that cause may be. And a lot of the posts were, oh, happy images of kids out doing different things, and their clients out doing different things out in the world, enjoying their time and whatnot, which is great. I mean, it's nice. It's a very surface level post, and they're like, hey, check out this excursion. But they're really missing the mark on, and that's great for all of their current followers and current engaged members, right? That know what they do and what's going on, but they're not getting anybody new, and that's the part of their complaint is like, what are we doing wrong? Well, it's not that you're doing anything wrong, it's just you're not going deep enough. Talk more about this event and how it was something that was not available unless it was for your organization. Talk about, get some pictures showing really the change it's making in these clients' lives. So you really need to get down in the weeds and talk about how whatever you're doing is making a difference. Use specific examples. Don't talk high level. And that, by always reiterating your mission statement, whatever your goal is, at the top and the end, it's like writing a good paper, is what's going to draw in new users, right? Because when you write that content and then combine that with our hashtag tool to get the relevant viewed hashtags, that's going to drive newer followers, which become and engage newer followers and engage all followers, really. So that's really the key. Did I leave anything out there, Tim?
No, I don't think so. It's like people want to get to know you, and we were working with early on when we were still beta testing. We were working with a retired athlete, and he always had always everything he posted was sort of this marketing pitch, right? It was always, 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 hey, I'm over here at this place and come by and buy whatever. Oh, I'm over here at this place, come by and buy whatever. And his engagement rate was about the system-wide averages. His views weren't great. We got him to start saying, hey, look, take 1/3 of your posts and make them the marketing stuff, but take 1/3 of them and make them, hey, hey, here's what's going on in the sport I used to play, because he's active, he knows it all. And 1/3 of it is sort of personal, so people can get to know you. And all of a sudden, he went from the system-wide averages in the different platforms where he was running like less than 1% engagement. All of a sudden, he was running 5, 10, 15, 20% engagement on different platforms, and his follower account was growing like crazy. So and he was using the right tools with the right hashtags, that helps too. But if you make sure that you actually are treating social media as exactly that, a social event, people want to get to know you. It's like, some people have followed me specifically because they know I have a tarantula and they like me posting pictures of my spider. Other people say burn it with fire, but it is what it is. But that sort of stuff, people want to know who you are, and that's what social media is for. It's not for, like I saw this, I was interacting with this one person who wanted to know why their independent stuff wasn't selling. And I'm like, well, because all you do is complain about the other manufacturers in it, and you say how much they're stuck and how much they're terrible, and then you say buy mine. So what you've done is say, oh, everybody else is awful and I'm great. Okay. Stop talking about your competition, right?
Mm.
Merely tell people why your stuff is awesome and how much you love the field you're in. Try that and see what happens. And do I think, like, take my books for example, do I think every book on the market is great? No, there's some out there I'm pretty sure aren't. However, a lot of books are not written for me. I'm not going to go pick up a romance novel too often and go, hey, let's go read this, right? I'm just not. I think the closest I ever came to a romance novel was The Hunger Games because it had that sort of weird romantic thing going on. But I'm not the audience for those, right? So who am I to go pick on them? Especially like the Twilight books, which one of my kids are reading and he's loving them, but yes, it's a he. And we'll let that part go. I'm not, just not my thing. Um, but I'm not going to go trash them either. I'm going to be like, okay, look, here's the types of books I like. And I think my readers look at that and go, oh, okay, well, that influences his writing. And therefore, there's something to that. So do things that add value for people. That's the other thing is if you're going to post things, I can post engagement bait posts all day long, and maybe people will engage with them, but does that really get me anything? Do things that add value in your posts, and I think that's really part of the
Yeah,
key.
absolutely.
Um, I think that's really about all we can say today. But if you want to use our tool, it's 60 days for free. We don't charge your credit card for the first 2 months, and we're about to take out the credit card requirement anyway. So our system is out there. We're the cheapest one on the market at $25 a month.
And
Try
one of
it.
the easiest, most intuitive systems to use. So
Yeah, so give it a shot. And if you don't like it, you can always drop us a line, and Doug will probably might be the one that answers your email.
yeah, you'll actually speak with me, not a bot, not some brokers, not some call center or something like that. We're
Yeah.
ground roots right now, so I'm all over
All,
it.
all of our emails that come in, all of our stuff that comes in is actually answered by a human, not by a bot. And we typically will get back to you within a day or two. So, it's not hard. And we actually have, and I thought this was pretty cool. We've had some user suggested features that we got included in the system pretty fast. So, um, we get to respond because we're still new. Anyway, everybody have a great day. And we'll see you soon.